Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking the Riverdale episode, Men of Honor. This was, I thought, a solid enough episode. Let's just kind of get right into it. First of all, apparently the Katie Keene character that Veronica met in New York is getting her own spin-off on the CW for God only knows what reason. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know from where, and I have no intention of watching the show. Um, I definitely get the feeling I am not the target audience, so good luck to that show, I suppose. Um, but anyway, this episode with Veronica finding out that her dad has some unspecified disease that sounds an awful lot like Lou Gehrig's disease, and then deciding to switch her name back to Veronica Lodge. Okay, potentially interesting. I mean, the character's name in the comics for decades has been Veronica Lodge, so while Veronica Luna is fine and all that, kind of returning to tradition is something I'm okay with. I'm kind of wondering if this could possibly be some elaborate trick by Hiram, but I don't know. This would be an interesting twist. A part of a moment where Veronica, despite all of her well-justified antagonism towards her father, she doesn't, of course, he's still her father, and there's always going to be that part of her that loves him. And something like this would definitely stir that to the surface. I mean, I had the death in my family recently. My grandfather passed away in November, and I loved him a great deal. Doesn't mean that there weren't times when I was justifiably pretty angry with him, and my memory of those times has not gone away, and in some of those situations I still feel quite strongly that I was in the right. But, well, when someone like that you care about is gone or is in bad condition, like my grandfather was before the end, all of that seems remarkably small and inconsequential. When we know that things are bad, that's when I think our true feelings come to the surface, when perspective on just how short and precious life is really hits us, that we can put such small things aside and focus on the gift that is having someone in our life that we love. And I can't blame Veronica for the choice she made. As bad as her dad is, he's still her father. And that's kind of played with continuously with Archie and their relationship with Fred. I mean, it's acknowledged that Fred wasn't a perfect guy, but that he was ultimately a good guy at the end of the day, and someone who really served as an inspiration to both his brother and his son. Frank is also not a perfect man, but he's somebody who, as we've seen, has acknowledged that he's done some bad stuff in his life, that he's made a lot of mistakes, and is legitimately trying to turn these things around. It all kind of blows up in his face with his old buddy coming around to try and kill him, and the whole thing of like, oh man, you told people about this, you broke the code. Well, you broke the code first, you're trying to kill me. I have to say that part of the thing was pretty silly. I mean, like the assassin guy trying to guilt trip the dude I mean, this is some ridiculous Riverdale writing at its best. And I do like how they kind of have that moment in the school where Archie has survived an attempted murder by a mercenary in the boys' room, and just kind of goes like, oh man, this school is crazy. Yeah, good stuff there, and definitely another nice little moment with FP pointing out what a badass he is. So good stuff there. The subplot going on over at Stonewall Prep felt a little all over the place, but ultimately I think it worked out. And that's mainly because of two reasons. At the end, Jughead throwing the match, that was actually, I think, a really smart move on the part of the writers. If he just straight out won the match, well, a douchebag like Brett would have just called it bad luck or some other nonsense like that, and nothing would have changed. Jughead deliberately throwing the match and telling him, like, yeah, you're a piece of garbage, and I don't want to be like you. You're a sucky writer and all this other stuff. That was great. There's really no great way for Brett to counter that, and he and everybody else there got a pretty epic telling off. You know, nobody likes having someone that they look down on say, you know what, screw you, you're nothing, you're nobody. Why in the world would I ever want to be like you? And like I said, I don't think there's really a great way for them to counter that. I mean, they did technically get the win, but it does, you know, Jughead deliberately throwing it and everybody seeing him do it and him admitting that he's throwing it makes it irrefutable, really. So that was a nice twist. The stuff with Donna apparently being kind of the mastermind, potentially, of what's going on is intriguing. Like, for the past seasons, we've, you know, all the characters have had their moments of, you know, being pretty brainy and coming up with cool plans, especially Jughead and Betty. But the idea that there's sort of like this sort of season-ending boss-level person who's someone their age is actually pretty intriguing. You know, a little bit like a mini Penny Peabody. So if you could kind of imagine as sort of Donna being an evil version of Betty and Jughead, well, again, that's quite intriguing, quite interesting. The subplot with Cheryl and then bringing back Nick. Now, I did like that they show that, like, oh crap, Cheryl like sees this guy and completely freaks out, which is utterly understandable given the circumstances. And then Tony devising a revenge on him. Okay, all right, not bad. Tony pulling out of thin air that something similar to Cheryl being assaulted had happened to her. That didn't really feel necessary. I mean, she would have been ridiculously upset no matter what. So the idea that they did that and then only gave us the vaguest details just doesn't really ring true to me in terms of storytelling. And what we ultimately see of the tape of Nick just drunk and being tickled by some guys, it's 2020. The idea that people are going to get super freaked out about this is kind of ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's him and those are two other guys, but I don't know, I guess it's sort of like douchey preppy boy, you know, toxic masculinity, heterosexual, whatever. That doesn't really feel like it would be as huge a deal as Tony is making it out to be in this day and age, but okay, I'm willing to let that roll, just because it kind of gave Tony something really solid to do. I mean, even last episode, she even like flat out said, like, to I think it was Veronica, like, what are we even doing here? And one of the big complaints people have had about the show for a while is that Tony doesn't really have that much to do. She doesn't seem to have really anything going on outside of being Cheryl's girlfriend, which is a legitimate and valid criticism. So here, her having, you know, this moment to shine is definitely very welcome. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you this time. So until next time, take care and have a good one.